Donna Gurnett, the Executive Director of the Association of Proprietary Colleges.
Okay, can you hear me? Is this close enough? Am I good?
Thank you, yes.
Okay.
Tilt it up just a tad.
Tilt it up a little? How's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
better? Okay.
Tricky thing.
All right. Assemblywoman Glick, Assemblywoman Simon, members of the committee, thank you very much for this opportunity to present testimony on behalf of the Association of Proprietary Colleges. My name is Donna Gurnett. I am the president and CEO of APC. APC is an association that represents the interest of the degree-granting proprietary or for-profit sector here in New York State. We currently have 15 members located on 27 campuses across the state. So we have campuses in Jamestown and Buffalo, across to Albany, and south across the New York City metropolitan area as well. So I was invited here today to talk about the rising costs of college tuition and student loan debt here in New York State. So I'm going to direct my remarks to the trends that we're seeing in the proprietary sector with regards to graduation rates, tuition cost, student loan rates, and cohort default rates. But first, a few words about the background for APC and our members. APC members have a long-standing tradition of offering affordable, quality education. On average, our members have been in existence for over 90 years, and 7 of our 15 members have actually been around for well over 100 years. So a long-standing history there. We are also very New York State focused. 90% of our students come from New York State and stay in New York State after they graduate to live and work. And we also employ over 6,000 people, so we're very strong economic drivers in our local communities. So let's talk about some of our trends, and I'm going to start with graduation rates because we really feel like that's very important and very key part, getting our students to that graduation finish line, as we call it. APC members are very committed to on-time graduation rates, and we feel this is important. It's a big key factor in keeping student loan debt low. So I just want to take a quick look. If we look at the data that was provided by the State Ed Department, you'll see that our on-time associate degree graduation rates are very good, 28.4%. That's nearly twice the statewide average, and also much higher than SUNY, CUNY, or the independent sector, so we're very happy with that. And if you take a look at some of the individual subgroups within there, you'll see that APC members do a great job educating and graduating on time. Members, people who struggled during high school, students with disabilities, minority students, we all do a very good job with all of those as well. Looking at our on-time bachelor degree rates, those are also very good. We have actually increased our on-time bachelor degree rate by 5% since 2011. And we meet or exceed the statewide average for the graduation rates there. So let's talk a little about tuition. In the 2014-15 academic year, the average tuition at APC member college was just under $17,000, or $16,957. This was an increase of just $240 from the prior year and a 3% increase in tuition since 2012. Now, I realize that this is a bit higher than the national average for the proprietary sector of $15,600, but I do think it's important to note that most APC members are located in the New York City metropolitan area where it's a little bit more expensive. But we also wanted to take a bit of a deeper dive and take a look at the information behind that, the data behind that, to see why we were just a little bit higher. And what we found was that if you look at each of our individual members and their annual tuitions, most of our members are offering 2- or 4-year degrees, and they have an annual tuition between $11,000 and $15,000. So they're actually very close and on line with what the national average is. But we also do have a few members who offer more competitive bachelor and graduate degree programs that come with higher annual tuition rates. And so these are schools like LIM College or the School of Visual Arts, whose programs really are competing more on the same level as similar programs at Columbia or NYU. So we really do feel like those tuition rates, even though they are a little bit higher, are justified in that regard. So let's talk a little about how do our APC students pay for that tuition? Where does that money come from? So what we have found is that 73% of our students receive Pell Grants, so they're Pell eligible. As well, 21,000 of our students receive some form of TAP aid. And our members also report to us that they themselves provide over $90 million annually in student aid, scholarships, and grants from their institutions. So we think that that's really important to note. However, there is still a gap between the support that students are receiving and the amount of tuition that they need to pay, and that's where those student loans come into play. And APC members take that very, very seriously. They have very comprehensive financial aid counseling programs, very, very extensive financial literacy programs that really start working with these students on day one, talking about other options before they take out student loans and different ways that they can pay for their college tuition, counseling them on not overborrowing for their student loans, and talking with them about what is that repayment going to look like after they graduate, and how much will those monthly payments be, and can they afford that? And what we see is that that extra counseling really has paid off because, as you'll note, according to the recently released college scorecard data, students graduating from APC member colleges accumulate an average of just $21,900 in student loan debt. And this is significantly lower than the state average of $32,000 or even the national average of $29,700. So what happens to those students after they graduate? We've worked with them on their academics, we've counseled them on their financial aid, we've worked hard to keep our tuition low, and we've made it to that finish line and they have graduated. And for those graduates from APC member colleges, that support that they received during their college career continues. And so what we've seen is that 72% of those graduates find jobs within 6 months in their field of study. So that helps. They go on, they get good jobs to help pay back those student loans. But they also continue to receive counseling about the different repayment options that they have to them for their student loans. For instance, the income-based repayment loans, repayment options, or the New York State financial, forgiveness loans, get on your feet forgiveness loans, those kind of options, and any of the other myriad of options that students have after they graduate to repay their loans. So before I wrap up, I do want to just say that I just want to take a second to thank you so much for your support, your continued support of the tuition assistance program. As I mentioned earlier, over 21,000 of our students receive TAP, and many of them tell us that without TAP they would never have been able to go on to college. So I just wanted to take a moment and thank you so much for that continued support. In my written report, I did make a few notes and some suggestions for changes or requests, but I'll let you read those at your leisure, and I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
In 73% get placement within a 6-month period. And this is an issue across all sectors. Are they getting employment within the area for which they studied, or are they getting employment, as is in some instances the case, that those are not areas that are hiring? We had a discussion about why teachers have dropped off the map, and it's because for a long period of time there weren't any jobs. So people wound up then after a while being told, don't take education courses because there are no jobs.
Right.
Now we, of course, will have a shortage. So within that 73% that get placed, how many of them are placed within the area that they were?
That's 73% who find jobs within their area of study within 6 months. So all of them.
Okay.
in connection with that number, I know when I've spoken with people at some of the proprietary schools, they really are focused on the job market and the market locally. And while they're giving associate degree programs, do you have any sense of the numbers of those programs that would, in another parlance, be sort of career or technical education? Some of the community colleges have really strong programs that lead to some credential, for example, that may or may not be, degree may or may not be required, but it's a credential in a particular area where there are jobs, for example. Refrigeration and heating and those kinds of things.
Right. So our colleges, for the most part, offer associate and bachelor degree programs, although some of them do also offer certificate programs. But I think the key point is that with the longevity of the colleges and their close ties to their local communities, they really do have their finger on the pulse of the local job markets and what really is needed. And so they are able to really tailor their programs strictly, so it's almost like a pipeline. The students come in, they take the course, and they get out. And that's how we can offer, the 73% placement rate. So I do feel like there's definitely that pipeline there.
And do you rely on alumni?
Absolutely. Yeah, they
network?
definitely try to keep their alumni connected with the college. In a myriad of different ways, absolutely.
And do you keep data on students that go on to postgraduate programs?
We don't, that I'm aware of, but I could get that information for you if you want it.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Of the 27% that don't find what I would refer to as immediate employment, how much time do you track that cohort that beyond 6 months, and what are those outcomes?
They do track it up to a year, and off the top of my head, I don't remember
You can get us
what
that.
the placement rate is beyond 6 months. I obviously it's a little higher, but I don't know off the top of my head.
You could just get us that
Yeah,
information
absolutely.
for the committee.
Sure.
Well, we have dwindled.
Sure.
And seeing no hands, I thank you very much. Have a
Okay,
good
thank
holiday
you.
season.
Thank you.
And